Welcome everybody to the QSEHRA CE training presented by Greg Nilsson. This has also been sponsored by Principal. They have a whole complimentary suite of options to complement this QSEHRA product. When you receive your recordings of the CE class later on, there will be a 10-minute video at the end where the principal information will be. They just were unable to attend this morning.
Good morning to everybody that's here. I wanted to talk to you about an option here, because if you've been in the industry for a while, like I have been, and working with Stonehill, I found that there's some frustration out there that's building with some of the options that employers have. They want to retain and recruit good employees, but they don't necessarily know how to do that cost effectively. So we're going to talk about an option that isn't for every group. I'm not saying that this is the be-all and end-all for all groups, but where it fits, it can be a good option to not only be able to offer a meaningful benefit to the employees and be able to retain and recruit employees, but also an option to be able to offer additional benefits with some of the benefit dollars that are freed up by having an option. Now, we're going to talk about this option called QSEHRA. And I know there's a lot of acronyms out there. You've got HSAs, you've got HRAs, you've got FSAs, you've got all these different acronyms. And you're probably thinking, oh, great, here's another acronym that I need to know something about. You don't necessarily need to know a lot about it. It's fairly simple as we go through this. But I wanted to start by talking about what I found to be a situation that's happened a lot when I talk to groups. See if this doesn't sound familiar to you. You're talking to a company that's maybe decided that they want to offer health insurance, possibly some other benefits, and there's the 3 R's of the reasons why most employers want to offer benefits: to recruit, retain, and reward their best employees. It's usually one or a combination of those that employers want to do. Or you might be talking to a company that already has benefits, especially health insurance benefits, and they're not sure if they can continue to afford the coverage. And they're not sure if the employees can continue to afford the coverage, especially those that are not necessarily highly compensated employees. I'll give you an example. I talk to groups all the time where they will pay the majority of the premium for the employee, but very little, if any, towards the premium for the rest of the family. So the employee is sitting there with the conflict of, yeah, I'd like to be able to offer this or be able to have the benefit for my family because we really need it. And it's affordable for me, but I'm not sure I can afford the premium for that I need to contribute, even if it is pre-tax and pre-FICA. So there's that thing. There's also, you probably found if you've worked in the industry very long, that there's advantages and disadvantages to having group health insurance versus individual insurance. So let's talk about that for just a minute as to what some of those advantages are or disadvantages are. So for group health insurance, some of the advantages can be it's cheaper than having a full premium individual plan. If the employee doesn't qualify for any premium tax credit, it's usually cheaper on a group plan. It can also be set up, by the way, I haven't added this, but it can also be set up any month of the year. You don't have to wait till an annual election period to offer a group plan. It gives you a tax deduction for the portion that the employer pays, allows the employees to pay their premium pre-tax and pre-FICA, and it helps keep your employees better than individual plans. But some of the disadvantages are, it's hard to please everybody. Even if you have 2 or 3 different options with the company, having the right network for everybody, having the right plan that everybody likes, it's very frustrating for a lot of employers to try to figure that out, how to get the right balance so that everybody is happy. Usually it's not the case. This allows any premium tax credit that employees could have if they could get a plan through the individual or through the marketplace. Because if they're answering the health insurance or the questions on an application to do an individual plan correctly, one of the questions will be, is there health insurance offered where you work? Well, if they're answering that honestly, then ultimately it'll say, well, yeah, you can get the coverage, but you'll need to pay the full premium. You don't qualify for any premium tax credit. And there's also a couple of other disadvantages to it, is that, now I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, you need to make a certain amount of participation, which if the employees can afford their portion or feel like they're young and immortal, it can be difficult sometimes to get that participation that you need. Now, that's on the group side. Now, if we look at the individual side, there's advantages and disadvantages there as well. The first advantage is it's cheaper for the employee, especially if they qualify for an advanced premium tax credit. It allows the employees to choose the plan and customize it for their specific needs. And it also allows them to keep the coverage if they decide to leave. But that last one is also one of the big disadvantages to an individual plan. It is that you can take it with you. It doesn't allow any legitimate deductible employer contribution. Yeah, you can do a bonus, but you still need to pay taxes on that. Theoretically, you're not supposed to pay for, reimburse, or contribute towards an individual health plan. But that's some of the reasons why you do the group plan. There's a couple of other things that I would mention here as well, is that you can't get a tax credit if a group plan is available. So if the employee thinks, as we talked about before, yeah, I'd like to do an individual plan because I just can't afford to have my family on a group plan, they won't qualify for that premium tax credit. And there's also only specific times of the year that you can get the coverage. You have to have a special election period or an annual election period in order to be able to do it. So it's not as easy to do mid-year. So then the question becomes, okay, what do you do? There's advantages and disadvantages to each. What's going to be a way that you can offer another option that can be meaningful for the employer and the employee? Well, that's where we're going to introduce Captain QSE Hra. Doesn't that name kind of roll off your tongue, Captain QSE Hra? A little joke there, but the whole idea is that if we offer the option of a QSE, Qualified Small Employer Health Reimbursement Account, this can actually be something that can help. So first of all, what is a QSE Hra? It was actually implemented by executive order by President Trump in 2020. It was one of the last things that he did before he went out of office. Now, one of the questions that always comes up is, well, why weren't we talking about this earlier? Well, like a lot of executive orders or orders from government agencies, it takes a while to get all the kinks figured out. What are the questions and what are the things that you can and can't do with this? And a lot of those have actually been worked out over the years. So now it's something that's actually viable to talk about. So what a QSE Hra is, it's a group plan. It's only by group, and it's only for groups of less than 50 employees. That then they can get, with this QSE Hra, they can actually get individual plans of their choice. It also allows them a special enrollment period. So this can be done mid-year. If you set up the plan mid-year, that allows all the employees a special enrollment period to be able to choose an individual plan for they and their family. It also allows employees to qualify still for that advanced premium tax credit. They don't get disallowed because in this case with the QSE Hra, they can get the special enrollment period. They can still qualify for the advanced premium tax credit, and the employer can provide a tax-free reimbursement of a portion of the employee's health insurance and possibly other specified medical expenses. So in other words, the employee picks the plan that works best for they and or their family. Then they bring the receipt to the employer. The employer then then can reimburse up to a specified amount. Now that specified amount is set each year in November Currently, for example, the amount that you can contribute for 2022 is $5,450 as an individual, $11,050 if there's two or more in the family. And if the plan is started mid-year, that's prorated. So if you have half the year left when you start the plan, excuse me, then they can only reimburse half of that amount. Now, if they don't choose to reimburse that much of the premium each month, and that works out to about $454 as an individual, or $920-ish for two or more in the family. So let's say they decided, okay, we're going to reimburse $300, let's say, at $600 as two or more. The remaining, if the employer chooses, they can actually use that to reimburse specific qualified HRA medical expenses for that if they choose. They don't have to do that, but they can do that if they choose with the remaining amount. Just that that's the maximum. And it's only available through a group arrangement. So if an employee leaves, they don't get that tax-free reimbursement, which is where the stickiness or the retention comes in. Yeah, they could go someplace else and take their plan with them, but they wouldn't be able to qualify for a tax-free reimbursement from the employer. So when the employer reimburses the $300 or $400 that they reimburse, it's tax deductible to the employee, to the employer, excuse me. It comes to the employee tax-free, much like if the health insurance paid for a medical expense. So there's a lot of things that you can do with a QSEHRA in this particular case. But it allows the employer not only to offer a meaningful benefit that is meaningful for the employee, but it also allows them to have some way of being able to tax deductively be able to help them with the cost on a legal basis, shall we say. So then the question becomes, okay, that's a QSE. So how does Captain QSE help us in this particular case? Well, it's a good question because there's a lot of things that we can provide resources for. And we can talk about this at another time if you're interested in learning more. But we can help to provide resources for the documents needed to set up the plan correctly. There are resources such as BenX or Paychecks, some of these companies that will have the proper documents, because you have to have documentation for this. You have to notify the employees 90 days before the plan goes into effect. So you can't just say, okay, 1st of October, we're going to offer QSEHRA. You need to give the employees at least a 90-day notice that you're going to put it into effect, and you have to have the proper documentation. We can also help you to determine the right amount of contribution and reimbursement for the health insurance. Because again, there's those guidelines of the maximum, and we won't know the 2023 numbers until November. That's when they come out with an adjusted amount that's been going up each year as to how much can be reimbursed. But also, you can, let's go to the next one. We can help the employees find the right plans for their specific needs. If you work in the individual market, great. You can help the employees to find the right plan that meets their specific needs. If you need some help with that, that's where Stonehill and we can help in those particular situations because we have people that are certified in the marketplace. It's your company. I mean, there are companies out there that they say, well, if you bring a company that's for us that qualifies for this, and we take care of it, we'll give you a referral fee. The only problem with that is that then they become the person or the company that's taking care of the company, not you. And I've seen situations where one of these companies actually put in a QSEHRA, and then they proceeded to offer other benefits which the company took advantage of. And that kind of takes you out of the situation. That's where Stonehill can help you in that case. We can help you to provide resources for the servicing of the plan arrangement and keep provide updates to keep you compliant. That again, is where some of these different companies can help. And we can provide servicing of the employee's individual plan. If you choose to have Stonehill take care of that, if you want to take care of that and service those plans, that's great. But it's a way of being able to help them not only to have this option, but also to stay compliant with some of the things that are needed to be able to have a QSC HRA in place. That's the basics on that. So when we talk about, okay, we've got this arrangement where it can save the company if they're used to, for example, contributing or paying for up to $500 or $600, let's say, towards an individual's plan, and they only need, and they're only going to reimburse, let's say, $300 or $400 with this new plan arrangement. What are some other benefits that they could use those benefit dollars for? Before we talk about that, I want to introduce a question called, what is a benefits budget? This is some way of being able to control costs on a yearly basis. A lot of companies, when they have health insurance, it's basically, okay, this year we got a 6 or 10 or 15% increase in our premium, whatever it is for that particular company. How do we want to take care of that? Well, we're going to contribute a little bit more. We're going to have the employees contributing a little bit more. But it's kind of a year-to-year type thing. In this case, we can actually have a benefit budget where we say, okay, here's the amount that we're going to contribute towards those particular benefits, especially the core benefits. And here's how much we'll have available for other things. And you can adjust that each year, but it's amount that you decide what is the amount you're going to contribute or reimburse. And then additional amounts, you can allow the employees to do that. So that brings up an idea of core and voluntary benefits. Most of you are probably familiar with the fact that a core benefit is something that the employer is paying for. So the employer is going to contribute towards, say, the health insurance. They might have a retirement plan that they're offering that they're going to contribute towards. But there can be other voluntary benefits that the employees can choose from. You can have a few different options where it's on a voluntary basis, where the employer can say, okay, here's the options. You choose the ones that you want, and you can offer a fixed dollar amount to the employee to choose from those additional benefits, the ones that work for them best. So that way you don't have to, as an employer, try to offer all the benefits and pay for them. You can still offer all the benefits, but you're not paying for them beyond what your benefit budget is. So are there benefits that I can offer to select owners and employees? Or can I have a better benefit for them than the employees? And the answer is yes. There's what you might call executive benefits that we can talk about. And I know that Drew has some information that he was going to be sharing with us about some of those benefits that you can offer. It can be offered to the whole company, or it can be offered to select employees. Depending on how it's set up, you can have a class of employees that have better benefit than the rest of the employees on certain benefits, not on all benefits, but on certain benefits. That's entirely legal to be able to do on a class basis. Or you can do some executive benefits for select employees, and you don't have to necessarily include everybody that way.
Yeah, if you'd like to ask any questions about the QSEHRA, just go ahead and click on the hand on your button there, and we'll go ahead and ask the question to Greg there. Okay, so Craig has a question here.
Yes, what were those limit amounts that you said earlier, the 5450 and the other?
If you have just one person, it's $5,450 for a full calendar year. If it's mid-year, then you prorate that amount.
Right.
For two or more, it's $11,050.
That's an odd number. That's not twice the amount. It's just that, how did they come up? Do you have any idea how they reached that?
Well, it's kind of like HSA numbers. Congress comes up with these numbers, and then they decide, yeah, that's the number they're going to come up with. A lot of times, if you work with HSAs, you find that the number for 2 or more isn't just double. For this next year, it's not going to be double of what it is. They come up with the numbers, and if you get really technical, 5450 doesn't really divide by 12 too well. Right. It comes out to 450, 417-ish. That's not quite the number. And then 920, 83-ish for the other. So a lot of employers just think, well, I know I can put up to 454, but let's make it easy and let's just say 350 or 400 or something like that, and then decide whether or not they want to have the additional amount to contribute towards other medical expenses that are qualified with HRAs.
Right. Cool. Okay. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're more than welcome. Other questions?
Any other questions? Oh, what is the minimum participation?
Good question. You can have a group as small as 1. In fact, an employer can do it for themselves. The disclaimer on that is if the employer has a 20% or more ownership in the company, then they can't qualify for the premium tax credit through the QSC HRA. They could do one on their own, but that would probably be the best thing to do if they were individual. Just an employer, they might just want to do it on their own if they qualify for an advanced premium tax credit, not do a QSC HRA. But theoretically, you could do it with a group that's as low as 1. And you don't have any participation numbers. You don't have to make sure that 75% of the employees are participating in the plan. You just need to make sure that it's available for everybody.
Perfect.
Again, you said that the owner cannot take the advanced premium tax credit if they have a 20% or greater ownership in the company?
Correct. That's what the rules say.
So are you saying a tax deduction for the QSE HRA contribution or the government reduction on the premiums?
Okay. More the first one.
Okay.
In other words, if they own more than 20% or more of the company, they can obviously get a plan on marketplace just like anybody else if they qualify. Yeah. But the amount that the employer would contribute, that 400 or 800 or whatever it is for the other number, they can't get that contribution from the employer the same way.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just want to make sure I understood you on that. Thanks.
Yeah, good question. And by the way, I should give you one other piece of information that's helpful to know. So if an employee qualifies for a premium tax credit, and then the employer decides, yeah, we're going to, let's say, put $400, just to use an easy number to do the math with, per month towards their health insurance. Yeah, that's tax deductible to the employer. It's tax free to the employee. So you would think, okay, so if that's $4,800, I don't need to add that to their estimated income for that year. That's actually not correct with the QSE HRA. Even though it's tax free, they're going to ask, if you have a QSE HRA arrangement, how much is being contributed? Then when they do the calculation, they'll add that into your gross income, so it can slightly change what your premium tax credit would be, if that makes sense.
Yes, that does. That's a great point. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you can't guarantee that the employer or the employee is going to answer that question honestly. But if they have that available to them and they're getting that reimbursement, even though it's tax-free, it's supposed to be added in. And therefore, it'll adjust your premium tax credit accordingly.
There's some great information you shared there in the QSE HRA. So here, I'm Drew with Principal Financial Group. I'm here locally in Utah, and I'm just going to talk about a little bit what we do and how we can help supplement medical plans as a substitute to fill in the gaps in your employee benefits package. So Principal, we're a national carrier. We've been a top provider of employee benefits for over 70 years now, with our direct focus on the small to mid-sized market. With that being said, that's anywhere from down to 2 employees up to 500. But with our specialty in that, it gives us the opportunity to offer these broad portfolio of supplemental plans that can be completely customized and tailored directly to what each group needs. We know each group's different. So we did a recent survey actually recently and found some information from business owners. And what we found after interviewing over 1,000 of them is that over 70% of them believe that, offering a competitive benefits package has helped them attract and retain employees. And that 6 out of 10 business owners want to offer more benefits, which means there's definitely an opportunity there and a need to offer these solutions because each group's different. Each of them need maybe a different coverage, but being able to just offer it, whether that be on an employer paid or voluntary basis, is extremely important. So we make it easy here at Principal. One, by going down to a company as small as 2 employees, it's going to be more affordable than their individual plans. But then offering all of our solutions as well. So with Principal plans, they have the opportunity to either the employer can pay all of the premium, they can contribute just a portion of it with maybe what's left over on their medical budget, or they can leave it completely up to the employee. So one more thing we found is that employees aren't overly concerned about how much their employer is contributing to their dental plan or their short-term disability plan, but more so just that they have the opportunity to purchase these products. So a little bit about what we have to offer in our portfolio. We have group term life, voluntary life, which is just a supplemental coverage where employees can buy up as much as they desire, dental and vision, and then short-term, long-term disability, and then accident and critical illness coverage. Just so a high-level overview on these products. One thing that's really special about Principal and makes it easy with a lot of these small groups is our participation requirements. We're extremely flexible here, as in if you have a group with 10 employees, standardly, regardless of the group size, as long as 2 employees enroll in a voluntary coverage, we're able to bind that coverage and install it. So that's a big differentiator for us. If you have a couple business owners that want some more additional life coverage, and maybe the rest of the group isn't as interested, as long as we get 2, we're able to provide that solution for them. So that's the group life. I mean, you can go as small as a $10,000 benefit or $1 million benefit. The voluntary supplemental life, same situation. Dental and vision, those are the standard products that you have. I mean, those need to be offered regardless of if you're paying for it or not. But Principal has the strongest network here in Utah, and then nationally, we've got an extremely strong dental network there. And by using our PPO discounted network through Principal as opposed to an individual plan, they're going to be saving around 40% extra when they go in to get these procedures done on their teeth. Outside of that, we use the VSP Vision Network. That's something special about our contract with VSP and Principal is it gives these employees the opportunity to go to the Costco's, the Walmarts, the Sam's Clubs, which are a more affordable place to go buy your contacts or lenses or do your exams. That is part of our network as well. Moving on to the disability coverage, and this is one that unfortunately gets a little overseen, or people don't realize the need for it until it's too late. But the way I like to think about disability is it's strictly the way to protect your income. What happens if you've got a company of 5 employees and the business owner goes out on an injury and doesn't have protection? How is he going to pay all of his bills? With Principal coming in, stepping in with this affordable short-term and long-term disability plans, we'll pay them up to 60 to 70% of their pre-disability income during that time. So as I said, it's extremely important just to offer these. Some people, even on a voluntary basis, it might not be a perfect fit for everyone, but with your short-term disability coverage too, that covers, pregnancies. So you go on a pregnancy, you're getting 8 weeks of payment there that you wouldn't have otherwise received if you didn't sign up for the plan. So it's just a good way to protect your income. And talking about the group disability, one thing that's special about Principal is we actually have an individual disability team in-house. We typically use that for executives and business owners that might have a higher income. We're able to offer them, a product that more so suits their salary, one, and two, their business profits. We know a lot of business owners aren't always taking, what's reflected on their W-2 isn't exactly correct with how much they might be making. So being able to offer these individual executive products is a great way to keep it all in-house under the same carrier as well. So along with that, we also have, buyout solutions, key man insurance. There's a lot of other executive solutions we can discuss at a later time, and I'd be happy to send some more information on what we have to offer. But something to think about on a group-to-group basis as you're moving forward. And then lastly is our worksite products, or accident or critical illness products. These are offered on strictly a voluntary basis. But what it does is if somebody, can't work or comes down with a critical illness, cancer, or even COVID, or they have an accident where they break a leg, we're going to, as long as we have proof of, an illness or accident has occurred, we're going to pay that employee a lump sum benefit amount directly to them to use however they want to use it. So it's a very easy to administer product, very affordable. And one more thing on both of these products includes a wellness benefit. So just everyone typically goes to see their doctor once a year for a physical or just a checkup. By enrolling in either of these coverages, they're going to have, a wellness benefit that can range from $50 to $200 to use to apply towards a physical. So that right there is a pretty, solid benefit, if you will, to cover the premium. But the big thing here is the misconception with a lot of these ancillary benefits is that they might be too expensive or there isn't a need for them. But as research has shown and recent studies, it's we have the options to offer these regardless of the budget they have in place, and that it's also going to help these business owners protect their employees and retain them. Employees feel very valued to have these opportunities to even have these coverages. So with our small to mid-size focus, it gives us the opportunity to completely customize any plan and tailor it to each group's needs. So it's not the same standard plan or you get 4 options to pick from. We can completely customize each one to fit their needs. So that's a little bit about our products we have to offer. But as Stonehill's invested in the KENS platform and Principal's made a big investment in our technology services, these benefits and getting these ancillary solutions in place is so much easier than it used to be now. It's just important to really try and offer it, and for all of you to understand really how easy it is to do this and fit the needs, because if you're not doing it, someone else is going to step in and offer it. Circling back on the voluntary benefits piece, what we've seen in this recent emergence of technology and the use of it recently with a lot of our agents is one, it makes it so much easier to offer these voluntary products and give them the opportunity to buy something. It's common here that I see that typically the employer is not going to pay the full portion of a disability product. It's unfortunate, but that's just not how it is. But being able to offer it on a voluntary basis, what I've seen in our studies since we've shifted towards using ben admin systems and technology is our participation used to be about 20% when it was on paper. With the uptick in the ease of the benefit administration system, we're seeing participation now standardly around 40% on the groups. So that just goes to show that, if you can get it in front of an employee, it's going to stick with them because they can see how affordable it is. But then also from a commission standpoint, it's extremely easy to make more commission just by getting that product out in front of the group and educating them on it. So there's more commission there. You're also helping out the employer round out his benefits package, and you're helping these specific employees that find value in these products. So it's with the participation requirements of only needing 2 people on the plan too. It's really a no-brainer just to offer these voluntary products, if you will, just to get them out on the table and provide that solution that they probably wouldn't have had if you didn't take the step and offer it for the group. So once again, to reiterate, I am here locally in Utah, live here in Salt Lake. So any questions, anytime you might need to reach out or get a hold of me, I'm here. I'm willing to drop by the office, explain things to you, help you understand something, or even just any questions you might have. I'm here. On the slides, you'll see my contact information on there for myself and my local team. Feel free to reach out anytime, and to myself, or if you need to get in contact with me, reach out to Amy, Jeff, David, whatnot. They'll get you in touch. But I'm here to help, just a couple doors away. So please reach out, and I look forward to working with you all. Thank you very much for the time today.
If you do have any questions that maybe come up afterwards, go ahead and feel free to email those to myself or Amy, and we'll forward those on to Greg, and he can reach out to you with any questions you have there. So with anything else, I think we're good to go. You guys have a great rest of your week there, and I appreciate you attending.
So then the question becomes, okay, there's a lot of information that we've just talked about a QSC HRA, but the question always becomes, how do I proceed from here? Well, in other presentations that I've done, I have a form that I provided that says, okay, are you interested in this? What other benefits might you be interested in? I can share that with you if you'd like. If you'd like to email me or call me, I'm happy to share that with you. And you can use that with your employers to kind of get a better idea of what their thoughts are in terms of benefits. Because in a lot of cases, I find that there's companies that they do their health insurance. And I've talked to companies where they say, well, we've got all our benefits taken care of. We've got our health insurance, we've got our retirement plan, we've got dental, we've got life, we've got PTO. I think we're in good shape. In all situations, almost all situations, I keep thinking that there's one other benefit that I should be hearing that I don't hear. And the way I bring it up to them is I say, okay, it sounds like you've got a good benefit package. But the question is, yeah, you've got something that if the employee is hit by the Mack truck and they die, there's a group life insurance benefit there. Question becomes, what if they get hit by the Mack truck and they make the mistake, so to speak, of living? They're probably going to need something a lot more now. They're not able to work. How do you take care of that? A lot of employers haven't even thought about that. Or if they do, oh, you mean group disability? Yeah, we've got that. Okay. When is the last time you reviewed that to make sure it takes care of not only the needs of your employees, but you as the owner and other key employees that are the reason why the company is running to begin with? I've found a lot of cases they haven't really thought about that. And that's one example of an additional benefit that I know Drew is going to give you more information about that can be available. We offer an opportunity to do a no obligation review. If they'd like to review the plan and see where there can be some enhancements made, doesn't mean that they're changing the plan, but it means that there can be some things that can be done to enhance the benefit for the employer and the key employees so you don't get what's called reverse discrimination. So in other words, let's say that you have a benefit that has a maximum of 60% of income. Now that's where most employees and employers think, okay, well, if I'm making $200,000, let's say a year, 60% means I'm going to get $120,000. So that's a pretty good cut in pay, but besides the fact that it's taxable, but I could maybe get by on that. Well, if the benefit says the maximum benefit that will be paid is $6,000 a month, instead of, in this case, $10,000 a month, then they also have a further cut in the amount that they're going to get. That's reverse discrimination for the highly compensated employees, because they're not getting the 60% that they thought they were getting. Instead, they're getting more like 30% to this, or 40% to this particular case. That's usually an eye-opener when we do a review of their plan. There's a lot of other things that we can talk about in a review. I'm just using disability as one area that I help Stonehill with, both on individual and group, to allow you to have a way of saying, hey, would you like a review of your plan to make sure that it's doing the right thing for you and your key employees? Most employers will say, well, yeah, that'd be a great idea. So why don't we get a review done where we can do that for you? Then you can decide how much you want us involved or not involved in terms of helping the presentation, in terms of doing the sale, getting the paperwork, underwriting, all that kind of stuff we can help with. You decide how much of that you want our help. So that's one example in that particular case. I usually offer to an employer, why don't we do a no obligation review of your benefits to make sure that they're working better for you? Because they hear all the time, here's another agent that's saying, let's see if we can beat your health insurance, get you lower premiums and better benefits. Employers hear that all the time. What if you took a different approach and said, let's review your benefits to make sure that they're doing the job that you want them to do? In other words, what are your goals for your benefits? That's one of the key questions that should be asked before we talk about any of this. And if the goals are such where the QSC HRA aligns, then we can help in terms of getting the presentation pieces and information to you to be able to do that. If it's not, other benefits we can still help with. So there's a lot of things that we can do in this particular case to help you as the agent to not only give another alternative to your employers, but also provide other meaningful benefits for the employer and expand your business in doing so. By the way, I should add this last slide. That's my contact information. You've got my direct cell number and my email address. So if you have questions, if you wanted a copy of the little handout that I do with Captain Qsc Hra to see what the interest is of the employer, I'm happy to talk to you about options and how this all works in more detail, as well as, one of the things that I help Stonehill with, and this is my shameless plug, you might say, is that we help, like I said, on the disability side. I'm a disability income fellow, which means that I've got one of the only certifications, qualified certifications, that is in the disability industry. And I'm also a group benefits disability specialist. So I understand the workings between when is a group policy appropriate, when is an individual policy appropriate. Are there situations where a combination might be the best situation to help enhance the benefits, like we talked about, to not have the reverse discrimination against the employer and the highly compensated employees that are key to the company. I can offer a no obligation review. I can offer additional resources so that you can understand this area better, and I can offer options to be able to explain how those options work for the person or the company, and then you decide how much participation you want us to have or not have in that case. You can have the full agent compensation, or you can decide, Craig, this is an area that I don't really specialize in. I'd like your help in that area. And then we decide on an appropriate split depending on how involved you do or don't want me to be. but you always maintain the role of the main contact. It is always your group, unlike a lot of other companies where they give you a referral fee and then they take the group and run.